In this video, let's talk through why meal timing can actually play such a significant role in your thyroid. Oftentimes, when people think about what they're eating in the totality of the day, they think about either the ingredients that they ate, so what they ate, or they think about the total amount of calories that they consumed. And I want to challenge you to start to think about your meals differently and to start thinking about how you pair meals together and how frequently you're eating throughout the day, because it plays a pivotal role in your thyroid function. The first way that this impacts your thyroid function is through blood sugar control. Blood sugar control impacts thyroid function because of the stress response that it can elicit. When our body is into a hypoglycemic or low blood sugar state, our body releases the stress hormone cortisol to actually mobilize sugar from storage from our glycogen back into our bloodstream to keep our blood sugar levels stable. This can actually impair our HPT axis signaling. This stands for hypothalamus pituitary thyroid. This is essentially how our brain then communicates down to our thyroid to make adequate T4 and T3. So if there is a chronic situation of hypoglycemia or low blood sugar happening, it can actually drive the thyroid to work slower. It can actually raise those TSH levels. Hypoglycemia is just as concerning as hyperglycemia or high blood sugar. And unfortunately, a lot of times people don't even know when they're in a hypoglycemic state. The two most common places that I see individuals get into a hypoglycemic state is either A, when they're sleeping, or B, in the middle of the day in between lunch and dinner. Couple of ways that we can prevent hypoglycemia is through one, when we eat, making sure that we have balanced nutrients that incorporate protein, fats, and fibers that help stabilize our blood sugar response. The second way is making sure we're not going too long without eating or skipping meals for an extended period of time. We want our body to be able to tap into its stores and utilize those for energy when we go long periods of time. But typically, when thyroid function is low, the body struggles to do so. I explain how the thyroid impacts blood sugar and metabolism in my video on CGM and blood glucose and how the thyroid impacts this. You can learn more about this process in that video. So individuals that typically have hypothyroidism or low thyroid function are typically more prone to actually making stress hormones when they're in between meals. And that's why one of the key ways that we can support our thyroid function is just ensuring that we're having regular intake often throughout the day. Our body is just like any other mammal where it loves structure and routine. If you have animals, you know that when it's dinner time, they're going to tell you. And it's the same thing that our body needs to optimize our function. All of our organ systems run off of one big clock that is driven through our circadian rhythm. And research actually shows that having a larger amount of food in the earlier part of the day actually supports the natural circadian rhythm process of metabolism and digestion. So one simple strategy that you can implement is trying to make breakfast your most substantial meal of the day and actually starting to titrate down the amount that you're eating into the evening hours. Most of the time I find in practice, people are actually doing the opposite, where they actually are eating a very small amount earlier in the day and having their largest meal at dinner, typically because of social or more cultural practices. But when we think about how the body works metabolically, this can actually hinder our ability to burn that food for energy and prevent energy storage. So front loading the day can be a really helpful strategy. The second one is trying to keep your meal space about roughly 4 to 5 hours and trying to not go much longer than that 5-hour time gap. If there is a situation where you have to go longer than that, that might be a time period to implement a snack that also follows that rule of protein, fat, and fiber so that you're able to keep that blood sugar response stable. I find for most people, this happens around that 3 to 4 o'clock hour, and this is typically also when you might experience that dip in energy or the feeling of irritability and fatigue. So if we can get ahead of that, we can actually prevent some of those unwanted symptoms happening during that afternoon lull. It can be really helpful to also try to incorporate your first meal within the first hour of rising. This actually helps to be able to signal to our brain to actually turn on all of our organ systems and actually start that cortisol awakening response what's what triggers our circadian rhythm. Light and food are the two best ways to do that. So yes, you can also get outside and get natural light exposure, but the second best way to do that is through food. And this also works in tandem with how our body best metabolizes. So for example, if you're waking up at 6 a.m., maybe that's trying to have breakfast by 7 a.m., making that the largest meal of the day. then having your lunch around 12, then having dinner around 7 and making that your lightest meal of the day, and then breaking up that time period between lunch and dinner with a small snack somewhere around that 3 o'clock hour to get ahead of that natural dip in energy that can occur midday. Oftentimes, I find in practice that just these simple changes of meal timing and focusing on when you're eating and how you're pairing meals together can make such a significant difference in your energy levels, your bloating, your digestive symptoms, your brain fog, and a lot of the common symptoms that individuals with low thyroid function experience, and then ultimately actually improve your blood sugar control and go on to improve your thyroid function naturally. What types of foods you're eating within that diagram of the protein, fat, and fiber, and how much of those are going to be individualized to you. And if you want to learn a little bit more about what those food sources are and specifically how to pair those foods together, whether it's around exercise or not with exercise, I teach you more about how to do that in my program, Functional Thyroid Foundations. You can actually learn more about the program with the link below, as well as sign up for my free workshop where I walk you through some of the root causes of what drives low-free T3 and how nutrition can play such an instrumental role in improving your active thyroid hormone function. And if you want to learn more about thyroid function and ways that you can support it through food, I hope you found this video helpful. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit the bell to subscribe to my channel so you'll be the first to know when I release a new video.